Hi. All good, all good. How are you? Yeah, let's do it.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and whether you're watching this, well, live, and hopefully we can encourage more people to join us live because we'd really like you to join in the conversation, or you're going to be listening to the podcast, which is growing every week, and I thank you for your support on that. But it's a warm, well, I was going to say a cold welcome, but that's not how I feel. It's just the weather out here, but it's a warm welcome to Nevin. Good
Hi.
afternoon.
Hi, how are you? And yes, good afternoon indeed. Interesting week with a lot of football matches. Can't wait to jump into the podcast and stream.
Yes, absolutely. Football is the one thing that is constant at the moment, and thank goodness for that. We were just talking yesterday about the new fixture list that came out for February, for the EPL anyway, and because all the games will be behind closed doors. So, yeah, a lot of football in the evenings, which is not a bad thing. Um, I always ask for a weather report, and that's only simply to cheer me up because I'm looking at a white scene outside because we had snow on Friday, we had snow yesterday, there's more snow out, due later today, and we've had a heavy frost. So cheer me up and tell me the weather outside your
You know
window.
what? I've been sweating. It's that hot.
Oh, come on,
It's
man.
not even nice anymore. It's hot.
Come on.
Yeah, even yesterday I was just like, I wanted to take a bath like 11 in the night and it's just on the tap. There is no need for geyser. The water is warm. Like just take a bath. Yeah, I mean, I really need to like pinch myself to confirm that this is January. This is unnaturally hot. This is not even
All
summer.
right. Okay. The temperatures, I'm assuming, in the mid 20s when they should be in the low 20s or in the teens.
I think this is the 30s now.
Wow. Okay. That
Yeah,
is
it is 30 degree right now.
that is some sort of weather, isn't it? Yeah.
That's hot.
Yeah. That is
Yeah.
hot. Yeah, the other thing that's keeping me warm, and I'm sorry I have to start with this because it's not often we win comfortably
Of
against the
course.
Blue Boys. I don't know what your Wednesday morning was like, or I'm not sure if you stayed up to watch your boys, but it was one of the most comfortable
I did.
wins
I
we've
did.
had against Chelsea. Did you catch any of the highlights?
We did talk about it prior. No, I didn't even bother watching the highlight. I was just like, this is. I knew this was going to happen. Maybe I thought the scorers would be different, but apart from that, I kind of expected the result. And I think it's it's on merit. I don't think it's something sure or anything that Leicester have been the better side. They've got the better manager, and thoroughly deserved victory. If you ask me, Chelsea is just all over the place, and it's reached a point where I think we need to change the manager. There's not a way out, but.
Yeah, I mean, for a Leicester fan, it was an incredible performance. Like I said, it's not often we win so comfortably against your boys, but to be fair to you, and we spoke about it last week, looking forward to the game, and you were quite rightly not confident. I was being a typical Leicester fan, half glass full until it's done. But your boys just didn't have. I don't know, there didn't seem to be the passion, there didn't seem to be the work rate, there didn't seem to have any ideas. It's not looking too good. I mean, you're in mid-table at the moment. You could go below Southampton. They've got a game in hand, but you don't want to end up in where Arsenal are. But I can see it happening.
Yeah, and of course, and to be fair, Arsenal are on the up, regardless of their FA Cup result. I think they've been doing well. So, Arsenal and Chelsea seem to be like swapping places soon, and I think Chelsea are going to. Unless they do something, usually Chelsea management don't wait that long. So
Mm,
that's really hope. They're not those guys who just wait for 2, 3 seasons.
no.
So because I feel we've got players. I don't have any problem with the team per se. Maybe a defender here and there, a little change here and there, but like otherwise, this is a side that should be absolutely challenging for a trophy, and especially in a season where the likes of Liverpool, the likes of a lot of other teams not being really consistent in terms of their performances. I think Chelsea should have been challenging the title and not with the table.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point. It's one of those seasons, and a lot of people point out to when we won the title that it was one of those seasons that a lot of the top teams were either rebuilding. And obviously, I don't buy into that. They're still a top team, but they're sort of comparing it to that season where it's very open, but obviously for different reasons because of what's happening around the world. And this is an opportunity for the likes of Chelsea and maybe even Arsenal at the start of the season.
And
Tottenham.
mind you, Chelsea did pay a lot. It's not even like they didn't rebuild in the summer. They spent a lot of money, got a lot of players. So, I mean, if you're Frank Lampard, you probably have no excuses. But he keeps saying, just still polishing ourselves, this, that, same old narrative. I never at this kind of time. Even Andre Villas-Boas was, I think, sacked before this, and he had a better win. And I remember those days being horrible. I hated being a Chelsea fan, and we were losing a couple of matches. But now we've just gotten used to this pattern of just losing so many matches, and managing justifying English talent.
Well, I mean, he is getting. I've said this to you before. He's getting a lot of rope. He's, and the usual excuse is that he's got a lot of young players new to the league, still getting used to it. And I'm thinking, well, if you look at the other teams, if you look at Fernandes at Man United, the young players we've brought in, Fofana, Pratt, and the likes, who fitted in, and Castagna. There's examples all over the place. Why are Chelsea the exception, and do you buy into that excuse that the young players are still getting used to the league, even though they've been brought at big money?
So the whole idea is that Chelsea is not a training ground for you. This is not that club where you can come, work your way, earn your badges, and go to better leagues. That's not what Chelsea is about. And so if you've signed them, what were you thinking when you signed them? And the likes of Mason Mount and Tammy Abraham, and if they're in that main squad, they better be there by the virtue of their performance and not because they're English. I mean, I don't buy into that theory. Chelsea is not that side. We've let go of the likes of Lukaku, De Bruyne, Salah. I mean, the list is unbelievable. Let them go because they are not good enough for you, and then come with this excuse that they're going to take time to perform. Why did you keep these guys there? It just doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry, starting to talk like Arsenal fan TV, but this is.
You're much milder. I was watching Vicky's. One thing you have to give Arsenal fan TV is that when they're losing, they don't hold back. And I was watching them yesterday. I know we've talked about the FA Cup, but the FA Cup really means a lot here. It really does, honestly, to even the big clubs. And I was seeing their reaction, plus the fact they were holders and the team he put down. Arteta, the favourite. A little bit of comparison there. He's an ex-Arsenal, not legend, but a favourite, and he was given quite a bit of leeway as well at the start because of who he was and what he was trying to do, and he won the FA Cup. But yesterday you could see things turning as well in terms of his team selection and just not having a plan B. But no, you're much milder than Arsenal fan TV, and I don't think I want to get to that stage where we are compared to Arsenal.
Desi Sportscast will have to launch its own separate wing for that.
I tell you what, when our national team plays, I think we'll have to do something like that and see what the views are. But before we come to the ISL and what's been happening this week, because you've had some good news there, and I want to bring that up with you as well. Just again, going back to last week's show, and we talked a lot about the beautiful documentary or short video you made about the Man City fan, and you recommended everybody go and see your favourite, which was the Arsenal one. And I did, and I hope a lot of people did as well. Again, a beautifully shot, beautifully made, and the gentleman there got away with naming two of his sons after, well, I think one of them is called Arsenal and the other one's called Aaron. Aaron, I could probably understand that, the wife might think, but Arsenal, I mean, that is taking it to another level.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, I did talk to his son. He's in didn't have much of us, and a big Ozil fan, strangely, sadly. Yes. I mean, not strangely. I think you probably saw the big Ozil for Arsenal. And yeah, it was a fun interview. And you know what I like about the couple and both stories? They're absolutely middle-class. They're not coming from a space where Premier League is accessible. You can go to screenings. Go to Etihad, go to Emirates. These are people from really middle-class families, really really loving Premier League. And I mean, this is a greatest advertisement for the sport and for the league itself. I think the fact that it's broken all barriers and everybody loves football in this place.
Well, this is going to be my question. When I saw the video last week, then I watched the video this week around the Arsenal fan. Was the location? They're not coming from big city. Well, it didn't look like big cities, and with the greatest respect, excuse me, for both of them, they weren't teenagers, coming onto the EPL in the last few years. They've been long-term, comparatively, fans of their teams, but they're not, what you normally associate with fans of EPL. I don't know what if you see what I mean. It was a very.
I think that was the sort of. That was my intention as well, because I think when you talk about Premier League fans in India, we just clearly talk about a certain class. I'm not blaming anybody who's doing it. But they're more approachable, they're more easy to speak in English. They'll talk about, they'll cite a lot more of examples of, how I got to see, Beckham do that free kick or those kind of stories. But here we are. I mean, these are incredible stories on its own. They've not had the privilege to go to UK or, even buy a jersey, for example, even buy an original jersey. But wow, that doesn't mean they're any less.
No.
Probably more, no. Because if somebody is naming the child Arsenal, they better be this.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a big commitment, and you know how much I love Leicester, but there's no way I would have been able to name either of my sons either after any of the players, or definitely not Leicester.
You can call your son something like Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, maybe, but no, it's not something I would have got away with a bit. Fair play. He's got a very understanding wife. You should have asked her opinion, but I'm sure she's, happy with the decision, obviously. But no, another beautiful story that I really liked, and again, you did recommend it. It was your favourite compared to the Man City one, and if people haven't seen it, check out the Premier League page on Twitter for India, the Indian. And check out and all that work.
Coming this weekend.
And which club is that associated with?
I mean, take a guess.
It's not United, is it, or Liverpool?
Of course, it has to be United. Purely by the numbers, I think there has to be one United fan.
Oh dear. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Well, yeah. There's. Yeah, but it's a beautiful. Yeah, I mean, they don't speak English, do they?
No.
So do you get commentary in the local language for EPL matches, or
they can understand? It's just a matter of
speaking. Right. Okay. Beautiful. Yeah. No. Fantastic.
I mean, Kerala is that quite a state that really understands English. Wherever you go in the state, that's. I think that part of it being a very tourism dependent state, and also the fact that if you look at the history, also there's been schools everywhere, a lot of education rights, everything. And I think that way the state is quite
Right. Okay. Brilliant. No, I look forward to, even though it will be a United one. I'm sure if it's in comparison to the other two, it'll be a beautiful watch, and it'll be good to hear their story as well. No, fantastic. And although we don't see you in front of the camera, and this is all Nevin's work, so amazing work. But I don't know if you want to talk about this, but you can tell me, we can talk about it another day, and I'm putting you on the spot here. It's something I saw on Facebook today about the Indian International that's coming out. Are you okay to talk about that today?
Yeah, absolutely. But He's not an Indian international. He's made till the camp. He never actually played for the national team.
But he must have played for the state or
Yeah, yeah,
at a high level to get to even to the camp.
yeah. He's played for like Mohammedan Sporting, and back then Premier Tyres in Kerala also was a huge team.
Okay.
So
For those of us, for those people, I know that video is coming out, and one thing I wanted to do was give a shout out, excuse me, to that for people to watch and see what they can do. But can you give us a bit of background to that story without ruining it, or I don't want
yeah,
to.
no, I mean, I think the video is going to be about his playing days and all, but I think the story itself is way larger. I happened to hear about his story through another footballer who told me, Nevin, you probably need to check this out, and his condition isn't that great. So, unfortunately, despite playing at the highest levels, he is struggling financially. He can't walk. I mean, he struggles to walk because he's got like a bad, and he doesn't have the finances to get an operation. His wife is mentally like in a very difficult stage. So I did visit his house. The house was completely ruined, and there's just the two of them looking after each other. I mean, to be very honest, I don't want to make this about poverty, and I mean, because he's a man with his own pride, and I don't want to make this a shout out to help him or anything. But Bharat, I've not been in such a difficult space ever as a journalist. I think the poverty shows. The house is half done. It's not even like complete. He had to sell off his property to another space, so he's just got like one small house in the backyard. Like the original house is no longer there, and yeah, I mean, he got a small tea stall, so that was how he was running for a while. Like post his retirement, he was running a small tea stall, just make tea for people and. Do that, but now he's not well, so he can't run that. So he gets for that space, and this is not really like a city area; it's a little off the city. So for that space, he gets rupees 6,500 a month, and that's his monthly income. That's that's like really really low, and for like two people who are really old and I mean, I know as a journalist, we've been always conditioned to not be attached to our stories. Your objective is to tell the stories to people, and if they feel something. But how can you not? How
No.
can you, as somebody who's been involved in football, look at somebody who's represented a team as big as Mohammedan Sporting in the 70s? They're as big as Mohun Bagan and East Bengal. This is not really aware of Kolkata football. They've just died down the last 20 years. Or something. Otherwise, they're as much part of the history, and they're as old as these clubs. In fact, if I remember right, Mohammedan Sporting is older than East Bengal. So, for somebody to represent Mohammedan Sporting for 3 years, played with in the like late 70s and all, it's peak Calcutta football. It's where the best in the country come to play apply the trade, and to go have seen it all and come back home and go through this. It's just yeah, I don't know. I just feel bad, and I just feel like as somebody who's involved in Indian football, I owe it to him. He's the reason why we do our jobs, and that we make his life slightly better. I'm not. It's not like I'm blessed with a lot of money that I can just take care of it. But maybe if I do justice to his story, maybe some people will take it up. Maybe the Kerala Football Association might think something. Maybe Gokulam is listening. Maybe Kerala Blasters are listening. They might want to do something. Maybe the Football Federation wants to do something. But we can't let. I mean, I've done so many of these stories myself. I did meet 1973 Sandhu Trophy winning coach for Kerala, Simon Sundarraj in Tanjavur in 2018. He's still well off because he had a job and he was like very careful with his life and all. But he did tell me about multiple footballers from Hyderabad, in the great Hyderabad police team in the 60s, who really had to struggle in their, they had to like, their final stages of life was just horrible. And we can't keep doing this now. Now we're talking about players who played in the 80s and late 70s. We reached there. Now if you don't stand up, I don't know when. Okay, we forgot the fact that Simon Sundarraj, for example, is a guy who scored the last goal for India in the Olympics. If we don't care about such a person. It's the same Olympics that Milka Singh, ran and created that record and
In Melbourne.
almost got the medal. So somebody from that era, the last person, he was part of a team that held France to a 1-1 draw. Imagine, from that royalty, and the fact that nobody knows it, he's just hidden there in one small village somehow, just going through his final days. It's just too much.
Firstly, I have to credit you for doing these documentaries, and the fact that you said, you're going there as a journalist, but you're also a human being at the end of the day, and you cannot not be affected by what you see. I mean, it wouldn't be right. You'd be a very hard person, and I know you're quite the opposite. You're a very understanding and humane person, and you would be affected if you saw something like that. And it comes through what you just said as well. And that's why when I saw it this morning, I wanted to just see the background. And I'm not saying I'm looking forward to seeing the documentary. Obviously I am, but obviously I know what's going to come. But the fact that it just makes you want to do something.
No, the interview is actually quite... Sorry, the interview is not anything like that. The interview is just football, because I think you didn't want to talk about his condition, and I didn't want to force him to talk about his poverty
But I take it. Yeah, and it'll be incredible to hear his story, because these are the stories, and I think you mentioned this in podcasts we've done in the past, where we're losing so many stories. You mentioned about especially the sport in Kerala and the history, and people it's not been written and it's not been documented or visualized, and you're doing your incredible work where you are talking to these past heroes. And the gentleman you said that scored our last ever Olympic goal, I mean, that was an incredible performance. I think we finished 4th, and for him to and this is my shame really, not knowing his name, is embarrassing. It's down to all of us to remember these heroes, including, you don't have to, like you said, he played for Melbourne Sporting at their peak. They were getting 80, 90, 100,000 people watching those games. So to get into that sort of team in that league at that time shows you the stature of this gentleman. And I know the video is going to be about his story playing football, but if people are listening, and I don't know, I was just thinking top of my head, sort of like a GoFundMe page, and he's not that sort of a person. They're all very proud, these old gentlemen. They're very, very proud, I know, but these stories are, hard to hear, but disappointing, because let's face it, football, for all its sports, has got a lot of money swashing around. I'm not talking about ISL, I'm talking about the National Federation, even the state federations. There's quite a few of them that are, they've got contacts, they've got people that can support. There's the government. There's a lot of options for people to help out these people who've given their life to sport, and that's not easy to do. That's not an easy option to take, playing sport in India, especially back in the, I say back in the day, but you're talking about 70s and 80s, which is not the same as the 60s and 50s, which was even harder. And I really, really hope that this message gets out, and people can either set up a page or something like that, whether it's for this gentleman or just generally. I'd be happy to contribute, more than happy to contribute, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing you're doing, that you're highlighting this, and I look forward to listening to the gentleman's story. Where can people watch it, and what day do you think it'll be out? Sometime this week?
Hopefully sometime this week. I have to finish up one other story before I sit on this, so hopefully towards the end of this week.
And
next week,
it'll be out on which platform?
It'll be out on Kalpan, the YouTube channel, so you can just go there to watch.
Fantastic.
Also be put on Twitter and Facebook.
Brilliant. Look forward to it, and we'll see. If anything comes out of it, hopefully something positive will. Moving on to another documentary that I happened to chance upon yesterday on Amazon. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it. I only saw it, I was flicking through recommendations, and that was a documentary on Hung Myung Song, the Korean player. Sensational. I highly recommend that documentary. It was an incredible insight into him and I'm not going to spoil it too much if you've not seen it. We'll save it for another day to have this chat. And okay, so we'll leave it for another day. I'm going to let the listeners, the viewers, check that out. It's on Amazon. It's called Sensational. On the back of that, I've got quite a few questions for you, Nevin, and how you relate to it. The other one I wanted to refer back to, this was a cricket one I saw. Again, I think it was on Amazon, called Beyond All Boundaries. It was highlighting three people, Prithvi Shaw, when he was like 8, 9, 10 years old, the super fan of Indian cricket, Sudhir, and a young Indian woman cricketer from Mumbai, Akshaya. I don't know if you had a chance to see that. Okay, there's two, and they are linked, and I'll tell you why. And once you've seen it, we'll have a discussion about it, because yeah, it brought a strong reaction for me. But we'll leave that for another day, because I think it's only fair. Once you've seen it, we'll watch it. Moving on to what's been happening. Well, firstly, because we started the conversation about Chelsea and the league and what's happening in the EPL, before we move to the big topic, which is the ISL, in terms of Liverpool and the loss against Burnley and where you think Liverpool are now, they looked a very jaded team. I don't know if you caught the game, and the front three, the famous front three, were lacking ideas, and this goes back to Alex Ferguson's days, where he used to, change the team slowly but on a regular basis. And they were talking about, Liverpool had pretty much the same team from 3 years ago, and it probably might be catching up with them. The staleness, the sameness. Do you think that's the case with Liverpool? Then if that's the case, why isn't it with Man City? Because that machine is starting to oil and gel.
Yeah, I mean, with Man City, I think they've got better squad depth. So, and the fact that Guardiola has sort of gone back to his drawing board, and at least changed the tactics a little in terms of they are very defense centric. Like if you have an FPL team, I'm sure you have a City defender, because now they've become some of the most reliable defensive unit out there, and that's not what you associate with Guardiola with say something 3 years back. So I think City has sort of reinvented itself, and hence City is looking fresher. Even I don't think even City is like really out there and performing well. I think they've got another year for sure. With Liverpool, yes, whatever, I agree with whatever you said. I thought Jota was a very interesting signing, but unfortunately he picked up a big injury. Jota would have been that freshness in the attack. They passed up that opportunity to sign Werner. I think Werner would have suited them as well. Maybe now Klopp is thinking, hey, maybe we should have been more clever. But it's not. You can't blame the team also, because you've got three very exciting young forwards. If you bring the likes of Werner and Jota, then there's going to be a lot of doubts. Mane might want to go to Liverpool, to a Real Madrid, or things like that. So probably that, and obviously the defensive calamity is not helped either, right? They've got defenders playing, so you've got the likes of Henderson playing as centre back, and that's not ideal. That's not ideal. You don't want Henderson playing in the centre back position. So a lot of that, and let's not discount something called mental exhaustion. I think seasons be very tough on everybody, and they've been champions. So in some sense, they gave it all the last 2 years. They were almost champions, and they went and became champions. They became European champions. I think they want to probably celebrate more. Spend more time with family. It's just human for us to achieve something and just sort of like then relax, take breath. Just we will get there, but I need some time to just rest. It takes the most most motivated champions to sustain it. That's why these likes of Roger Federer and Nadal and all of them are incredible, because they just kept doing it. They didn't the moment they won something, they didn't take the foot off the pedal. It sort of got like addicted. It's a team sport though, so you can't one person being motivated enough is not going to be good enough. And sometimes I feel like we've discussed this before as well. Klopp himself seems to have lost the plot in terms of what to say out in the open. He's definitely not. He's probably still a very good coach, but he's not saying the right things on TV, I feel. And I'm sure the players are also listening to all this. hey, maybe our coach is right, we've hard that by this, that, and I'm sure they don't really like the fact that United are doing well as well. So that's also probably playing in the back of the mind. So I think it's a mix of all these things.
Yeah, I was just thinking, and I totally agree with you. What makes the difference between a great player, a sportsman like Federer, and the others is the fact that they can churn out wins and titles, back to back, and that's the sign of a great team or a great sports person. And they mentioned it actually on the it was Carragher of all people. He said, they're a good team, but to become a great team, you need to either win more titles or continue winning titles back to back. I think Man City, the only one that have done it recently, and they are a great team, quite rightly. It's not going to get any easier because they've got Manchester United in the FA Cup today as well. So the pressure is going to be there again for, I think, more on Klopp this time after the defeat at Burnley, and they've got a couple of big games coming up. It's not an easy.
I kind of expected this. I know it sounds easier to say post the match, but I almost picked Barnes in my FPL team because this, inner feeling that he's going to do well, and there's Liverpool. He traditionally performs well against Liverpool, if I remember right. So I was like, maybe I should pick him, but I didn't. But yeah. Sometimes I think I should listen to my instincts.
Well, yeah, I absolutely always go with your gut. I think that's what they say. You can't go wrong if you do that more often. It'll be right. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how this league pans out, because we've said it often that it's very different. And we said it at the start of the show. It's hard to call, although Man City are looking good at the moment. Very, very good. They had a good win yesterday in the FA Cup after being a goal down. It's never easy going to these smaller clubs, as I'm going to be feeling very.
I just wanted to ask you, what are people talking about? Say Aston Villa, West Ham, and all that. They've been playing. I've really liked Aston Villa, for example. They've been a very consistent team for me. They've been like with Grealish and good defense. Martinez is a great keeper. What is a mood there in England?
I think because the likes of ourselves and Southampton are doing well, it's sort of taking a bit of the headlines away from the likes of West Ham and Aston Villa. West Ham, this is they're not expecting tops. They're not talking about. Whereas with Southampton and Leicester, the talk is about possible top six. For us, there's even a maybe at the outside a title challenge, maybe. But with West Ham and Aston Villa, I think Grealish is obviously now one of the favourites to get into the England team, which he wasn't at the start because of his performances. They've been lucky in the sense with injuries, and the way they started the season has helped them. So they're not taking the headlines, but you can see them. Being respected, but with being a Leicester fan, I don't like Aston Villa at all. I'm not,
if Chelsea are playing Aston Villa next, I'll be like really scared. I think that they're going to be the.
I don't know. I mean, Ollie Watkins scored after a while yesterday. He's not been in top form. It's one of those that if Grealish plays, they create chances. But they're not. I know they beat Liverpool by a big margin, but I don't know.
Yeah, not really followed it up with a lot of attacking performance.
Yeah.
At the back.
Yeah, it's they're one of those clubs that people are not. They're sort of there or thereabouts, but not making the headlines. If you see what I mean. I think
probably it looks nicer because the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea are faltering. So then. Comparatively, these teams are playing as good as Chelsea, but it's not necessarily.
Yeah, and that also gives a bit of a false. Also, if any fans from Villa or West Ham are listening in, they'll probably think we are playing a lot better. They are, but they could be two places below if Chelsea or Arsenal were playing a normal game. But hopefully they'll fall apart, especially Villa. I'm hoping they do that. But moving on to the ISL and what's been happening this week. And before I talk about the great week that's happened to you in your state, I want to talk about our favourite manager. Well, they're certainly reacting, but I want to talk about a manager who we've talked about a lot. And this week, a couple of one that you showed me, one of the interviews he did, and the other one I saw on the YouTube ISL YouTube channel he did after the game, and that's the one and only Robbie Fowler. I don't know what to make of him.
Before the show started, I was like, maybe I should not dedicate this show to Robbie Fowler, because I've been doing that for I think the last few episodes, where I've been just like anti Robbie Fowler since like the moment you put out the topic. I almost feel you plan a section for it every episode. Just let's get Nevin talking about Robbie Fowler.
He should be media gold at the moment because of what he says and how he comes across, and he's got no respect for referees. He doesn't rate referees in India. He disrespected the Indian players and the East Bengal squad for the start, saying this was built for the I League. He's got no respect for the media and the questions that he's been put and what he's been asked, and he calls it out really bluntly. There's no sugarcoating what he says or niceties, and you see the difference between him and the other managers who get similar questions. Let's face it, even you're thinking, oh, that's a silly question by that media house, but the managers still give respect to it. Robbie, I was thinking I need to have a look at how he did interviews in the A-League, whether he was the same with those sort of media outlets in Australia, because we know what the Australian media outlets like. They're very like England, really. They give it as And I'm thinking, especially what the clip you sent me, I don't know how widely it was shared in India, and the interview I saw in the ISL package on YouTube. That is, I don't know, bordering, well, it's definitely rude, definitely disrespectful. But in a way, is he looking down on us?
Absolutely. I don't know what is it doubt. I don't know why East Bengal feel the need to defend it. I think talking to someone on Twitter who was like, no, are you questioning Robbie Fowler? He's a legend. I'm like, I'm not denying he's a legend, but he's not come here and nobody has a right. Even if say, even Sir Alex comes and manages East Bengal, for example. Even he has no right to be like, asking Pradyum whether he knows what it feels like. Or it's just ridiculous. You don't have to go on this person. I think it's just all about himself. And I don't know why the fans don't see it for it. We are not questioning East Bengal. We're giving the club the respect it deserves. We're just talking about a manager, just coming and disrespecting the whole ecosystem which you are part of. He is looking down on your club as well. I mean, just absolutely ridiculous. I don't think I want to keep going on, because I thought East Bengal on the field was not so bad. The last couple of matches they've been quite decent, and credits to Robbie Fowler, because I thought he's going to come and he's going to be like a horrible coach as well. But at least on field they seem to have some spark. The new signing sort of really worked well. Not gotten the results yet, but again, was it FC Goa? They played really well, and I think they deserved to win at least. And, so credits where it is due, but Mr. Fowler, if you're listening, please, this is not how you don't just come to a league and start disrespecting it so much. You shouldn't have just come. I mean, it's as simple as that. You felt the challenge is not good enough. It's not meant for a former Liverpool player to come here. And don't come. Nobody is forcing.
Yeah, no, I've got a lot of respect for East Bengal and how they've turned it around. They're playing really well, like you said. They have really good results, and they're coming into some sort of form. I think I saw the game against Mumbai. I thought they played really well, although Mumbai had quite a few chances. But he's spoiling it for me. I want to give a lot of credit to East Bengal, and obviously Robbie has to take, let's face it, a lot of credit for turning them around from where they started, because they didn't have a big pre-season like the other clubs and a lot of new players and everything. There was a lot of newness to East Bengal, but he's clouding that, and I don't like it. And I don't know, I was going to say it made me feel uncomfortable the way he was speaking, in the clip you sent me to that sorry, I forgot the gentleman's name, but he's the pundit on there, isn't he? On the coverage, and it just felt a little bit uncomfortable. And especially, and also in the I League, when the ISL clip that I saw after the game, and I thought, fair play to that interviewer. He carried on despite the responses he was getting. But that, he needs to. Somebody needs to have a word with him, especially in the hierarchy. We know who the owners are. They're very proud Indians, and just tone it down, Robbie. We respect what you're doing for the club and the pit on the pitch and the turn and the performances, but the attitude needs to just change. But just like the Liverpool fans have been quiet recently on Twitter in India, and I see them when they're winning, and you can't miss the tweets because I follow a few of them, and we know a few of them as well. We've interviewed them on this podcast. But how quiet are the BFC fans, especially after the incredible local derby win for I was saying your boys, but boys from your state? And what do you think of the Blasters? Because let's face it, we've talked about them in a few podcasts, and we've said, how are the Blasters fans feeling? Are they happy? They must be happy now.
Of course they're happy, because it's probably like a very bad example, but like you cage an animal and then you give it food occasionally. And it becomes strange to enjoy that little bit of food that comes occasionally. You think that's something you want to enjoy. So I somehow feel safe with Kerala Blasters. These occasional victories are all it gets. I don't still think it's a good, sustainable and nice stuff, but like those occasional food that comes to you in your foods are these victories, and it doesn't get bigger than Bangalore FC, right? It's a rivalry that's more like social culture than anything to do with actual kids' performance, because Bangalore is dominated except for as much as I can remember. They have been the better team throughout their time in the ISL, both of them have collided. But that aside, it was fun. Like there's a lot of biryani banter, because last time the Bangalore FC like Pandey had put out a video with Eric Bartley and Kotri. So now Kerala Blasters put out a video with all these players talking about biryani. Strangely, it's not like Kochi or Bangalore are known for biryani so much, but I don't know. If I remember right, the origin of the story has something like Kerala Blasters fans saying that Bangalore were distributing biryani to get fans on board because they didn't have any fans, and they were afraid that in the away fixture is going to be a sea of yellow. So they were actually giving free biryani and getting people to come watch the match.
All right.
Yeah, so I think that's the and then the athletes started going, oh, you're the biryani FC, and it just become. Now a lot of people don't understand this story, but a lot of people think it's got to do with actual biryani pride. No,
it's from that. That's a wonderful story. Good. But yeah, that was a good win. A bit of a controversial winner, but they all count end of the day. And the Blasters fans, I know you said but they should be confident. I've been looking at their fixture list. We've highlighted different clubs at different stages, Jamshedpur and Hyderabad, who might be, hopefully, one of these teams will get into the top four. But I have to say, I think the Blasters have got a chance. I mean, in the last 6-7 games, I know they've got ATK and Mumbai, but the other ones are winnable.
And they should have won against Goa.
Yeah. That was a good result, 1-1 against Goa.
But look at this way, they played almost 35 minutes without their, almost 30 odd minutes with 10 men. And Kerala had a couple of really good chances, which I thought the Cooper's idea to pass the ball instead of going to the target.
Yeah.
And I thought Kerala should have won yesterday. I know it comes from a space of we're talking about a team that we never even expected to sort of challenge the top four. Now we're saying, this should have beaten FC Goa. I know it sounds a little ridiculous, but I think these are the things that you require if you have to challenge further. Because Kerala didn't have a good start, so you have to have a good finish to the season, just like Chennai had last time. So now it's come to a point where you need victories. You can't go with draws. And let's face it, City and ATK are very difficult to crack. So, and the way it is looking, I think Kerala Blasters will probably require a victory against these sides to really confirm that slot. So interesting times, but I think that's the hype is back. People are talking about Calabasas again,
I
even
think
though I
it's
think the Derby was one of the most, I think, the boring Derby in terms of social media, banter and stuff. Because I think even the Bangalore fans have been extremely quiet even before the match. They just
well.
like it's not our season. We're not being matches.
Yeah, you can't blame them for being quiet, but I'm
No,
surprised.
I mean, I'm like, hey, welcome on board. Like, now you know what it feels like.
Yeah, but I was looking at the fixtures, like I said, for the Blasters, and they've got Jamshedpur, then they've got ATK, then Mumbai, but then they've got Odisha, Hyderabad, and Chennai, and I think they finished with North East. So the games, that they've got a really good chance, considering where they were a few weeks ago. In fact, they've had a good week. But two players I want you to ask you about, because you're always educating me about these players. One is Rahul. Is he a forward? Because he's got 3 goals this season. I know we're struggling for Indian strikers. What can you tell me about Rahul? He's played for the national team, hasn't he? Or he hasn't?
I think no, he has not played for the national team. The thing is, he's represented junior teams for the country. He played in the under-17 World Cup as well. Big talent, big talent. Was really hard. We were a little amazed that he colored his hair blonde, but now he's gone back.
I was going to say, thank you for having a word with him.
Yes. It's not just us who noticed though, even the likes of I am Vijayan were pointing it out. So clearly, I mean, you and I am Vijayan are thinking the same thing. But
No, I did notice that yesterday, and I was going to say I better forward my thanks to Nevin for sorting that out, because I saw the game against Goa and he'd not pleased his hair, and I thought that credit goes to Nevin for that. So yeah, sorry, you were telling us about him and the talent he is, because I was impressed with him.
I don't think he's a winger. A lot of people have thought that very young winger with a lot of trickery and you can like an Udanta. I think a lot of people thought he's going to be like an Udanta. But I always thought he's got a finish in him, and he's probably not that great with speed. There are better people with dribbles and abilities out there. Probably more of an attacker. He's got direct, so he'll probably have like one move to beat a defender, and then he has to shoot. So I think he has to be in the penalty box. I don't think he's the out and out striker. He's not your target man. So it is up to you to design a system like a secondary striker or somebody who can, like a Thomas Muller, for example. He always drifts to the wide area but is he a striker? Is he a winger? We don't know, right? Like a sort of a floating position. So I think it's up to the coach to really trust this young kid, so he can score. He definitely has ability to score. So I think we need to put him in an advanced position. I think given how Changte is performed and how many chances Changte requires to finally score, I think a Rahul in that position would have been way more deep. I think he's got way better conversion rate, and he's a confident young man. So,
he's definitely. Yeah, he's definitely got the confidence, and I just wanted to, because I was impressed with him yesterday, and he's scoring 3 goals, which is, a goal scorer in Indian football is like gold dust. So I just wanted to take your thoughts on, and also on another one that's leading the charts with Sunil is Halicharan Nasri. I know Rahul, in height-wise, he's probably in the same mould as Sunil, sort of that mid 5'5", 5'6", but Nasri is 5'10" or something. But he's 4 goals. It's helping Hyderabad. But is he getting a look in? And do you think he's still mid-20s, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Nasri is one of those very interesting characters because Stephen Constantine loved him. He always picked him, and a lot of Indian fans would be like, "Oh no, look at the bias again. Why is Susiraj not playing? Why is Udanta not playing? Why is this Udanta usually plays?" But like Nasri is always picked in the left wing. And I remember he'd been really disappointing for Kerala Blasters as well. He didn't look like a player who scored goals. And I remember, I'm not taking credits for it. I just remember seeing a very, a casual statement on WhatsApp saying, "Hey, listen, he's going to go to Hyderabad." And back then, I think Roca was the coach. Like Alberto Roca was the coach. So it's like Roca is going to convert him into an exciting young winger, and we're all going to regret it. and just I mean, I didn't expect this to happen, but like, I mean, Albert Roca left, but somebody else came in, and he's really transformed the entire Hyderabad side. It's not just Nasri. And suddenly he looks an exciting player. And I always thought Constantine knew what is best for Indian football. We were right. He looks like a visionary now in hindsight. But, somebody like a Robin Borges, he kept picking, and a lot of people didn't, think that he was a great footballer. But now look at Robin Borges. He's like one of the best central midfielders in the country. So
100%.
Yeah, so just he probably saw that effort. He's selfless. I think Nasri is one of those selfless players. He runs. He helps a lot in defense. So the part of the reason why Hyderabad fullbacks have been able to perform forward is the fact that they have wingers who they can trust. And also, let's not forget, he's probably scored goals for somebody like Liston and Ashish Rai, and it's very exciting setup in Hyderabad. I mean, I don't know if it is true and if it's got any sense, but they signed up with Dortmund and suddenly they look like Dortmund. So it's just, I mean,
that's a bit cool.
I think,
yeah,
but jersey as well.
But sorry, what was that last bit?
I mean, they've got a yellow jersey as well, just to.
Oh, of course, yeah. This season has really opened up my eyes to the talent we have in certain areas. We've mentioned it before, goalkeepers, I think right back, left back, in definitely midfield positions. But now we've got two possibilities up front as well. Things are looking really good, and we just need to see how Igor gels it, makes it gel, because we have got big games coming up. We've still got the Asian Cup qualifiers to go for, so we'll see how that pans out, but that's in the future. In terms of
I just missed you with the.
No, I was just going to say, Igor's got a lot of talent to work with. Hopefully, he can make it gel.
Absolutely.
And I think.
Hopefully, he can make it to Goa first and actually watch a couple of matches.
See, we've called him out on this, and the powers that be, we know they listen to this show, because you see that when they listen to you, a week or so later they do take that note and make the changes. So I don't know, Igor, if he's being a little bit stubborn, but I won't be surprised if he's there soon, if he knows what's good for him.
Go to Goa, by the way.
Oh wow, okay, brilliant. Obviously.
Catch a lot of Goa Pro League as well. That's beginning, I think, tomorrow. Or no, on 27th or something. So,
well, it's never.
Watch young players.
I mean, I'm not jealous at all. You're going from the beautiful state of Kerala to Goa, so I'm not envious at all. When this show ends,
I'm going to pass in you a little bit of sun.
Well, do you know what? When this show ends, I'm going to just show you. It has started snowing heavily here. As we're speaking. I'll show you the screen once we've finished the show. No, absolutely. Oh, one very quick question. Do you think Brandon is our best number 10? I have this question for you. I've just wanted your views on that one.
Yeah, I mean, on virtual performance, I think, Brandon is a number 10. I don't know whether our Indian team needs a number 10 though.
Really?
Can play with two number 8 instead, and have like more, midfield than invest full on number 10 and expect to anchor the midfield. I personally like that system more, where, I mean, again, Brandon is number 8, sort of an advanced number 8, and not necessarily as a number 10. And you also have somebody like Anil Thapa, who's also covering the midfield, and then you can have somebody sit back like a Borges or something like that, wrapping up things for it. I personally like that rather than invest on one number 10 to do everything. I thought Sahar would have been a better number 10, but he's not really,
he's not been
expected.
Yeah, brilliant. No, I just want to take your views, because I'm doing Igor's job, like I said, because he's not in Goa, and we've talked about that. But you're going to Goa, which is fantastic news, and I look forward to hearing about that as well. But brilliant, loved the show again today, loved your views, looking forward to the videos, the amazing work that you're doing there, highlighting social issues, but also bringing up these wonderful stories from our former players, and really looking forward to see that. So big power to you on continuing to do that, and let's spread the message about the work that you're sharing. But thank you again, my friend. Been wonderful, and hopefully I can speak to you again next week.
Bye bye.